Hello, everyone. Welcome to our third part in the seven-part series to launch our new year here in January 2026. In the background, you will see World's Fair Park in Knoxville, Tennessee. My wife and I actually spent some time there on New Year's Eve. And we have lived here for approximately 5 years now, and we have grown very fond of this area. Knoxville's been very generous to us, and we hope to be very generous to it going into 2026. So I hope you had a great new year. Happy New Year. I hope January has started off with a boom, or as you had hoped it would, and that you're already starting to see some fruit grow in terms of your New Year's resolutions or goals that you just have that are kind of transitioning from 2025 to 2026. So, on the first day, we talked about how God speaks into darkness, how light formed and just shone and then gave hope accordingly. And so we learned that there was clarity when light comes into the picture. That often means that clarity may come before answers, perhaps presence comes before resolution. But before anything is organized, healed, or explained, God speaks. God is speaking. And so then on day two, we started to talk a little bit more about as the next step, God separates chaos, He creates order. And in creating order, it allows us to manage our lives in a way that is functional, in a way that operates smoothly. And that can also apply to our relationship with the Lord so that when things compound, we have the ability to step away to find an area of peace so that we can then function because we've ordered our priorities, maybe even cut out some of the excess, or even just made a strong effort to focus on the most important things. So going into day three, God creates stability before growth. So we have things to consider when it comes to the ground. So again, reading through Genesis 1, 9 through 13 says, And God said, Let the water under the sky be gathered in one place, and let dry ground appear. And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it according to their various kinds. And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning the third day. So God does not rush growth before stability. Before anything is asked to flourish, God ensures there is solid ground to stand on. This shows that healing, renewal, fruitfulness are not about speed, they are about safety. God gathers the chaos of the waters first. Only then does he invite growth to begin. Stability is not a delay, it can sometimes be a gift. And so, here with the emphasis of this part devotion or this day, God creates ground before he creates growth. He does not demand fruit from instability. This reminds us that God is deeply attentive to what can support life, not just what looks productive. Dry ground represents something firm, dependable, and trustworthy. So, in seasons of grief, transition, or exhaustion, God often focuses on reestablishing footing rather than pushing us forward. So, we think about this. Growth begins quietly. There's no fanfare when the land produces vegetation, no announcement, just steady, faithful life emerging over time. So God is not impressed by speed. He's committed to sustainability. And God sees the land produce vegetation and calls it good, not because it is complete, but because it is alive. Growth does not need to be finished to be faithful. So, another verse that I thought applicable to this idea would be Psalms 1:3. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. So, this verse reminds us that fruit comes in season, roots develop before results are visible. Stability beneath the surface sustains light above it. So, Ground represents emotional, spiritual, relational, and physical stability. It is the place where you can stand without bracing yourself constantly for collapse. So God could be, He is that grounded foundation. If everything feels fragile right now, God may not be withholding growth. He may be rebuilding the ground, rebuilding the foundation. This is, again, not failure. This is preparation. So small signs of life matter. A moment of calm, a routine returning, a brief sense of joy. These things are not insignificant. They are evident that God is restoring stability in your life. And perhaps even at a significant pace, God is building the stability or reminding you of the everyday moments of the present so that you focus on Him in the present instead of thinking about yesterday or thinking about tomorrow. So you don't necessarily need to compare your growth to anyone else's, right? God is growing something specific in you at a pace that protects you and applies to you. So we can again ask ourselves, where's God helping me feel steady again? This might be a habit, a boundary, a relationship, or a renewed sense of safety, the ability to enjoy the moment without anxiety, grief, or pressure and stress coming in. So it helps to name one area where growth is happening slowly. Thank God for this growth, even if it feels small or unfinished. Try to resist the urge to rush the fruit bearing seasons. Let roots deepen, let ground settle. Trust that God knows when growth can be sustained. Allow the foundation to be built before we build on top of it. If hopefully that makes sense. And so, my closing prayer for you here in this third segment of this series is that God, thank you for creating ground beneath our feet when everything feels uncertain. Thank you for caring about our stability before asking us to grow. Where we feel unsteady, restore footing. Where we feel pressure to produce, remind us that growth comes in its proper time. Help us to trust the quiet working you are doing beneath the surface. We place our roots in you and receive your steady care today. Amen. So, thinking about day 4, as ground becomes stable, something new begins to emerge, right? So once we can stand again, God starts to shape direction, not by rushing us forward, but by establishing rhythm, habits. So tomorrow or later in January, in a couple days, as we move into the fourth segment where God sets the light in the sky and teaches us about purpose, seasons, and sacred timing, this is where we will see that stability prepares us to live with meaning. And so, as we gain stability with a solid foundation, purpose in all seasons, and God's sacred timing will all emerge, and we will see things clearly. The light will shine and clarity will be evident, like I said in the first part or day 1 of this series on New Year's Eve. So this is one of my favorite parts of the 7-part series. I just love the idea of like a foundation being firm, us gaining confidence in our relationship with God, and then kind of moving forward with that firm foundation in a relationship with Him before we proceed to bigger and better plans. Now, life doesn't necessarily always look that way. And it's certainly easier said than done. But I pray that the words that I'm speaking here are helping you as you begin to start fresh this January 2026, and even being hopeful as the months begin the new year. If you have any thoughts, please feel free to comment. And if you're really enjoying these devotional contents and days and series, please subscribe to this channel and listen to the Thanksgiving and the Christmas series that I previously completed. Thank you for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next segment.